Olga turned off the lights and then headed out of the room. It was already evening, with the two friends sitting on the balcony, the cold air blowing through their hair as they slowly sipped hot tea. Maggie looked at her friend. Olga, how are you planning to manage living in the same city as James Hawkins? I think by tomorrow he will have gotten the news of your return. I don't mean to say that he wants you again, but what if he does? What if he takes Kaya away from you? Olga, holding a hot cup of coffee, took a sip. I really don't know, but the only thing I know well is that I don't care about him anymore. I don't love him, and I am not afraid of him. First of all, I won't tell him the child is his. I suppose he's happily married, so he doesn't even remember my name. Because all I was to him was a pleasure toy. He got what he wanted. So we have nothing to do with each other anymore. Maggie was quiet, attentively listening. I understand that you don't want to tell him about Kaya. But James is not just some random guy. He's smart enough to see that she is his daughter. What would you do just in case he finds out? And we can't put aside the fact that Kaya needs a father. Olga was surprised to hear her friend talk like that. My girl has grown her mind so much that I can't recognize that you're asking questions like that. Anyway, you know Nick? His personal secretary. He knew our whereabouts, but of course I stopped him from telling James. James has never cared about us since that incident. He never talks about us. It's like he has already forgotten me. That's one of the reasons I chose to come back. I won't cause trouble. All I want is to work and raise my child. I am sure she'll understand when she grows up. What? Nick knew your whereabouts, but he had never told James. How can you be so sure? That guy loves me so much that he can't afford to lose me to him for a second time. Even though he works for him, he holds a grudge against him because of what he made me go through. How else do you think I survived in a foreign country with the baby? Nick used to send us money even though I refused it sometimes. Maggie couldn't hold her surprised face. Everything I am hearing now is like a big bomb on my head, baby girl. What will happen if James finds out that Nick has been secretly helping you? He will fire him immediately. I told him too, but he said he had saved enough to start his own business. He can also get another job since he's got a lot of experience, so he doesn't care. All he wants is for me to say yes to him. So you two are dating now? Maggie asked with curiosity. With a shy smile, Olga denied it. No, we're just friends. You can put it that way. I am not in time to trust my heart to anyone again. The two besties held each other's shoulders, comforting each other for the hardest part of the whole 5 years they had been apart. Maggie also told her about how her artistic career was going, the ups and downs, and all the challenges she had faced alone. As the night wore on, their conversation drifted from worries about the past to hopes for the future. Olga shared her dreams of providing the best life possible for Kaya and of watching her grow up happy and fulfilled. Maggie listened intently, her heart swelling with pride for her friend's resilience and determination. I need to find a job first, so I shouldn't be a burden to you, Maggie. I know it hasn't been easy for you, Olga, Maggie said, her voice filled with admiration. But look how far you've come. You're an incredible mother, and Kaya is lucky to have you. And you will never be a burden to me, Olga. Do you remember how we used to be? Nothing has changed. You remember everything we have been through together since childhood. You have always been my shoulder. I wouldn't be where I am today if it wasn't for you. We're more than blood sisters. And Kaya is my daughter too. I will protect you both no matter what, even if it means losing everything I have now. Tears welled up in Olga's eyes as she reached for Maggie's hand. Thank you, Maggie. You've always been there for me, through thick and thin. I don't know what I would do without you. They kept talking till midnight. When everyone was dozing off in their seats, Olga was tired, so she kissed her friend and disappeared inside. Maggie remained on the balcony, gazing out at the twinkling city lights. She couldn't help but feel a surge of emotion at the bond she shared with her friend. Despite the challenges they had faced, their friendship had only grown stronger over the years. Deep down, Maggie knew that no matter what obstacles lay ahead, she and Orga would face them together. And as she watched the stars overhead, she felt a renewed sense of hope for the future. A future filled with love, laughter, and the unwavering hope and support of a friendship that would last a lifetime. Meanwhile, at William's villa, the two friends were engrossed in their inner turmoil. James wanted his friend's advice. He wanted to make sure Jocelyn and her father paid for what they did to him. "James," William said, his voice filled with concern, "I can't believe Jocelyn would do something like that to you. But now that you know the truth, what do you plan to do? Are you telling your parents about it? You know your father was angry because he believes you failed both the project and him as the chairman." James took a long sip of whiskey, feeling its burn slide down his throat. "I don't know, Willie. I feel like my whole world has been turned upside down. But one thing's for sure. I can't stay married to her. I need to confront her and her father about what they've done and tell my dad about it." Then, as he spoke, his face turned from sadness to anger, and he spoke in a furious tone. "Those bastards don't know me yet. I am going to show them the darkest side of me and make everyone see the consequences of messing with me. They will test the bitterness of their own medicine." William nodded in agreement. "You deserve better, James, and you have to do what's best for you. But just be careful, okay? Who knows what they're capable of? Remember, I will always be here for you. Whatever you choose to do to them, count me in. If you want, I will withdraw my investment from their hospitals and make them taste bankruptcy just like they did to you." James glanced at his friend, gratitude swelling in his chest. "Thanks, Willie. But we'll go slowly. We will put them in a hole where they go deeper as they try to get out of it." He smiled, but the smile didn't reach his mouth. "It looks like they don't know what I am capable of. They shall start praying because I am coming for them." They kept drinking until the morning. James was so drunk that he couldn't stand on his own, so they headed to bed. The whole day was going to be a waste. All they didn't know was that Orga had returned to the city, and she wasn't alone. She was with his little girl, Kaya. They kept drinking until the morning. James was so drunk that he couldn't stand on his own. They headed to bed. The whole day was going to be a waste. The next morning, Orga woke up early and went to the balcony. She couldn't sleep. Her heart and mind were buzzing with memories of the past when she broke up with James. Catching the lights of the city, she inhaled deeply, letting the fresh air fill her lungs. She curled her knees up, feeling a nippy breeze biting at her skin. The balcony was very high, overlooking the west side of the city. Lost in her thoughts, she gazed at the grim, dark line against the even darker sky. Remembering her dark memories with James was a sad thought. With mixed feelings, she spoke to herself. If only I could go back 5 years. I would never be near James. I screwed up my life, my career, and everything. She began to remember what had happened after James's love confession to her 5 years ago at the restaurant. She remembered how her relationship started, and how she ended up losing everything she had because of him. 5 years ago, she realized she had feelings for James too, so she accepted his love. Their love story was touching, and she thought those moments would remain. A week later, after James's confession, James asked her out on another date, which she accepted. James had done everything for her. The next day at work, James brought her a present with a love note, and it happened every day for the whole year they spent together. He sent her flowers morning and evening, took her shopping, and helped her financially. Finally, after 3 months of their relationship, James asked her to visit his villa. As Orga recalled the moments, she cried, "I should have never allowed that day to happen. I should have said no." That day, she went to James's villa wearing a short dress and heels, wanting to make the day fabulous for James. On her way there, She passed a grocery store and bought ingredients to help her make food for him. An hour later, she reached the villa. It was beautifully decorated, and James greeted her eagerly. "Sweetheart, you look so sexy. You'll take my breath away." Olga blushed and stepped inside. "Stop joking, James. It's still too early." James pulled her closer to him, and their mouths met in a tender and touching kiss. "You're so beautiful, Olga. How did I end up with such a blessing?" Olga looked into his eyes and whispered, "James, my life has only been brighter since you came into it. You've made me enjoy life like never before, loved me and taken away my fears. I trust you with all my life. I never knew I could love a man like I love you. But I'm also afraid." "What are you afraid of, sweetheart? Don't you trust me?" "James, it's not about me trusting you because you know that I do. But sometimes people's backgrounds become a hindrance to their love. Do you think your family will accept a nobody like me? I am afraid that we might fail in the end." James's expression softened, his eyes searching hers with a depth of understanding that stirred Olga's heart. "My love," he began, his voice gentle, yet resolute. "I understand your fears, but you must know that in my eyes, you are everything. You are not a nobody to me, but rather the shining light that has illuminated my world." Olga felt a glimmer of hope flicker within her chest, warming her from the inside out. She gazed into James's eyes, seeing the sincerity and love reflected there, and for a moment, her fears began to fade away. "But James," she whispered, her voice trembling with vulnerability, "what if your family doesn't see me the way you do? What if they judge me based on my past, on where I come from?" James reached out, gently brushing away a tear that trickled down Olga's cheek. "My dear," he murmured, his touch like a soothing balm. "I cannot predict how my family will react, but I can promise you this. I will stand by your side, come what may. Together, we will face whatever challenges lie ahead, and we will do so with love as our guiding light. And you know the project we're working on? If it succeeds, none will ever question you. I will marry you right away." Olga's heart swelled with emotion, overwhelmed by the depth of James's devotion. At that moment, she knew that she was not alone, and that no matter what obstacles they encountered, they would overcome them together. With a renewed sense of courage, Olga leaned into James's embrace, feeling the warmth of his love enveloping her like a comforting blanket. That day they had their first intimate kiss. James took her to his room, kissing her whole body. They take off their clothes, ready to make love, but Olga restrains him. But Olga restrained further intimacy. "James, I want to stay a virgin until marriage. It's too early for this. I still have a lot to do in my life and career. I don't want to ruin everything. You know, I have never had a boyfriend or any deep feelings for any man. You're the first man I loved. But the reason I didn't want to be entangled with those things was that I wanted to stay a virgin till my marriage day. I want to keep myself for the man who will marry me. I don't want to ruin my life and take it back to where I came from." James, with so much love, listened with understanding. "I am so sorry, my love. I almost lost myself, but I want you to know that I love you and respect you. I wasn't thinking and was driven by my emotions. I will marry you, Olga, I promise. I will be that lucky man, and trust me, I respect your beliefs. Please, Olga, would you forgive me?" Olga smiled shyly. "It's all right. And thank you for understanding, James." She was surprised to see how well James understood and respected her. "James, I am sorry. I'm not like other girls. I might be stubborn and less romantic, but let's wait for the day my grandma will hand me over to you on our wedding day. I will be yours forever, and you will be the only man in my life, and I thank you for your understanding." She smiled and added, "I brought some groceries. I am going to the kitchen to make your meal. I might not be great as your housemaid, but I know you'll like it." She then stood up and headed out to cook. James, who was sitting admiring the gift God gave him, said teasingly, "You're rushing. What are you ashamed of?" "Well, I understand that it was your first day kissing like this, but I think you need to get used to it." Olga was searching for a place to hide after what was about to happen. "Let's get to work, James. You're shameless." They all laughed and headed to the kitchen. James started showing her where she could find everything, then said, "Olga, I am sorry I won't help you today. I still have unfinished work to do." "It's okay, James. Just do what you were doing. I will manage here." James left Olga alone in the kitchen and headed to work on his laptop. Olga cooks with determination to make a memorable meal for her first love. As Olga busied herself in the kitchen, the aroma of spices and herbs filled the air, mingling with the sounds of sizzling pans and bubbling sauces. She moved with purpose, chopping vegetables with practiced precision, and stirring pots with gentle care, each movement a testament to her dedication to making this meal special for James. Lost in her culinary endeavor, Olga found solace in the familiar rhythm of cooking, the comforting routine offering her a brief respite from the whirlwind of emotions that had consumed her heart. With each dish she prepared, she poured her love and affection into the ingredients, infusing them with the essence of her feelings for James. As the minutes turned into hours, Olga's efforts began to bear fruit, the dishes taking shape before her eyes like works of art. She arranged them on the table with care, a symphony of colors and flavors that spoke volumes of her love for James. When James finally emerged from his work, his eyes widened in astonishment at the sight before him. The table was adorned with a feast fit for royalty, each dish a testament to Olga's culinary prowess and her unwavering commitment to making this day unforgettable. "Olga," James breathed, his voice filled with awe. "This is incredible. You've outdone yourself." Olga smiled shyly, a blush creeping into her cheeks, as she watched James take his seat at the table. "I wanted to make today special for you," she murmured, her voice soft with emotion, "because you deserve nothing but the best." As they sat down to eat, the atmosphere was filled with laughter and joy, the tension of earlier dissipating like morning mist under the warmth of their love. With each bite they shared, Olga felt her heart swell with happiness, grateful for the chance to create new memories with the man she loved. And as they lingered at the table, savoring the flavors of their meal and the sweetness of each other's company, Olga knew that no matter what the future held, as long as they had each other, they could weather any storm that came their way. For in James, she had found not only a lover, but a partner, a soulmate whose love had the power to heal old wounds,